Hi, thank you so much for joining Insight into Wellness. My name is Alexandra Greenberg, and I'm the owner of Green Tree Ayurveda. And today I have with me Krissie Lenahan, and I'm just going to go ahead and introduce her. Krissie is a local high school teacher, a high school health teacher, a wife, a mother, and a chapter leader with mom-owned businesses, Mob Nation. She is a dedicated business owner of Live Pure Mama and is passionate about helping families move towards non-toxic living through her workshops, detox services, and active free Facebook group. Hi, Krissie. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Alexandra.
Yeah. Uh, you know, Insight into Wellness, I've said it before, and I always really love to highlight you, someone who is really leading a path towards holistic health, towards holistic living, and you are doing something so amazing, and you're talking about toxic chemicals in the home, in our life. And before we get to all that juicy content, I really would like to know about you and your path. And specifically, just to start off that conversation, was there anything when you were younger, a young woman, that really inspired you, or just something happened, something clicked for you to go down this path?
Yeah, when I was growing up, I was growing up in Anchorage, Alaska, and my parents were pretty natural people. I think that you wouldn't quite call them hippies because they were a little bit older than that generation, but they were definitely what I referred to when I was growing up as granola. And I think that even though at the time I might have kind of rejected that idea, it's always sort of been ingrained in me, that we take care of the earth and we do whatever is in our power to stay as natural as possible, because that is pretty much the strongest link to being as healthy as possible. And that really stuck with me. But going through the 80s and 90s, and then starting my family, I was pretty just mainstream, and I was actually very, very frugal and would buy a lot of my personal care stuff at the cheapest prices that I could, and I was dollar store queen, and had kind of gotten away from the natural thing. And then I went to a conference for health teachers, and there was this block of time where I chose to do a session called Toxic Beauty. And I really didn't know what that was going to encompass, or didn't even really know if I was interested in that. But then the woman who was delivering was talking about how many chemicals are outlawed or, banned in Europe. And at that time it was 1,371.
Wow.
And then she said in the United States, there's 11. And it really blew me away and made a really big impact on me because, well, number one, I was a health teacher, and I felt really kind of stunned that I didn't know this issue at all. I really didn't. And I also had a 2-year-old son at the time, and now he's 5, almost 6. And I had been smothering him with all of this stuff the whole time. And I had just been through my first of several miscarriages. And so I was really ripe to hear this information. And yes, it made me angry, but it also was super empowering because I felt like this is a place where I can start. And once I know what to look for, I can make a big difference for myself. And so then I researched and found all these tools, and then I wanted to share them. So that's kind of how I got started.
Yeah, I love that story. And it's such a shocking number to hear that.
Yes. Yes. Our systems are just very different.
Yeah. And now you are leading Mob Nation. You are doing so much as a mother, as a woman, as a business owner. How does it feel for you to lead your community in this way?
It's really rewarding. So I'm the chapter leader for the North County Mob group. And that is like in Battleground, Ridgefield, that sort of North Clark County area of Washington. And it's just, it's an incredibly rewarding thing to see all of these moms come together, no matter what their businesses are. And I think we're all sort of leaders in our community, no matter what our businesses focus on. And, we have everything from lawyers and chiropractors and graphic designers to just people who sell things on Etsy, and it's a wide range of things, and women in all stages of motherhood. So it could be someone who is pregnant currently, or somebody whose kids are completely grown and now they have grandkids. And so it's this huge, wide gamut of women. And so I just picture my job with them as a connector, as a guide that sort of brings everybody
Oh, we got to pause here.
together.
Oh, we're breaking up just a little bit. I think that's okay. We're going to push through.
Okay.
I lost the tail end, but what I'm gathering from that is that you feel powerful and you're a guide for them, which is also what I like to do. I more guide my clients and friends and family towards choices that then can be made. And I know for myself, when I know all this information, right? I know what's good for me. I know what's bad for me. And the challenges that we come up against when we know those specific things. What challenges have you experienced in your life when you're really trying to work through and you're trying to do the best you can and you step up against a challenge? How is it for you when you have to make those decisions?
Yeah, that's tough. I think that two of the hardest things that come to my mind are money and time. Yeah. I think a lot of people feel held back by money, and all that really matters is the feeling there. Like maybe they are and maybe they aren't. But I think that limits people in the choices that they end up making about their health. And I think that, what they say is true is that it's much cheaper, if you will, to prevent disease and disorder than to try after the fact to treat it or cure it or anything, excuse me, once you already are connected with whatever that issue is. So I think another way that we can prioritize our health is with time. And I think we do feel, almost everybody feels limited by time. I know I definitely do. I wish I could clone myself. I'd get a lot more done. But I think it's just coming back to those daily decisions, of I constantly have to remind myself, what are my true priorities? My true priorities are my family and being a mom first. And then after that, I can get into my business and being a teacher. And so if one of my decisions has to do with, my priorities, then it becomes a lot more clear, because you just always have to come back to what are your most important roles and your most important values.
I love that. We'll start to talk more about toxicity in the home. When you started on your own journey, what were the first few things that you did?
Oh man, I didn't know where to start. After I listened to that session at the workshop, at the conference, she gave us a lot of facts, but not a lot of resources. I actually asked that presenter for her slides and started embarking upon sort of tweaking those slides to make them my own so that I could use them in my curriculum. And in doing that, I felt like I really needed to add some resources. And so I started doing a lot of research and talking to people. And at the same time, kind of like a simultaneous path, is I was looking for companies that I could trust with my family. I had found a resource, which I'll tell you guys is the Skin Deep Cosmetics database. And I had found that on there you can enter in the names of products and get a rating of safety or amount of hazard. And you can also, if you're using that website, you can enter in individual ingredients. So I started doing that, but it was quite a frustrating journey because there are so many ingredients and that takes a lot of time, and you can't possibly like stand in Fred Meyer and vet every single product that you want to buy. And it's also an expensive transition. You can't like just throw away everything that you've been using and start with a clean slate all in 1 month. So that was definitely a challenge, but I think I did end up finding a few favorite companies that I now feel comfortable not analyzing every single product because I've analyzed the company as a whole. But I think that's very, very hard to find. And once you find it, it does save you time. So I found my resources and I found my companies that I feel most comfortable with.
And might I just add that this is why you invest in a coach, or you invest time into someone who has been down the path, who has done all the research, who has put all the time in, and that's such a valuable thing.
Yeah.
So diving deeper into toxic chemicals and staying in the house, where do you find most toxic chemicals that we're using?
Yeah. So just think back if you have ever been a parent and maybe had a toddler, it's all the places that you felt like you needed to lock up. Mm. So it's under your kitchen sink and under your bathroom sink usually is where you're going to find most of the most harmful things. There are a few surprising things thrown in here and there, like sunscreen can be really dangerous and hairspray can be really dangerous, a lot of makeup. So those are kind of like above the counter things, but I think in general, the most dangerous line, if you want to call it that, would be like cleaners. Yeah. I think cleaners, because we've been conditioned to think that a room needs to smell like bleach in order to be clean, and or we need to kill those germs with something really toxic. I think we need to step back and think, okay, if we're killing those germs with something really toxic, what is happening to my body while I'm doing that? And so if you find yourself coughing, which is exactly what there was one specific bathroom cleaner that I remember I needed to absolutely stop using or ask my husband to clean the shower when I was pregnant. All of a sudden, it just started making me cough really bad, and that was finally a red flag for me. That was one of my first, before I knew about this issue, because Jacob was 2 when I really did learn. But with that specific cleaner, I was like, I really shouldn't be inhaling these fumes. But the truth is nobody should. So if you feel like you need to be opening a window or you need to be wearing gloves so you don't absorb things, those are the red flags that you need to start like listening to your gut about, because that's probably true.
And the gut is all knowing. The gut is all knowing. What is one thing that we might not think is toxic, but is really, truly doing some damage?
The most pervasive toxin that is also the most secret is fragrance. And I would, yes, it is everywhere, truly. And I talk to people all the time who say, like, I can't even walk down the laundry aisle in the store because they start getting a headache, or walk behind someone who is wearing a lot of perfume. Yeah. I think people are starting to feel a lot more symptoms related to fragrance, but it goes so far beyond that. So the deal with fragrance is that when you see the word fragrance on a label, it is a loophole in our system. And it's a term that manufacturers can dump hundreds of different chemicals into that term. and it's a proprietary mix of whatever their fragrance is. And in the United States, that mixture is a trade secret, and it's not disclosed even to the FDA, even though they might not do anything about it anyway. But nobody, literally nobody except the top executives or the formulators in that specific company knows what went into that mix. So private companies, private organizations have started studying what is in the products that say they have fragrance in them, or parfum is another like fancy French sounding name. And they found that 75% of those products that say fragrance on the label actually contain endocrine disruptors, which are chemicals. Sometimes they mimic estrogen, but basically they mess up our endocrine system, which is the system in our body that regulates how our organs work. So that can cause lots of problems. I mean, our organs do a lot. But specifically, it can really mess up our thyroid. And our thyroid is the thing that creates and maintains our hormones, which can make us feel all funky anyway and do a lot of weird things, but also super linked with fertility. So we're seeing a lot of fertility issues related to, linked back to products with fragrance. And this can be anything. I mean, obviously it's perfume, but there is fragrance in toilet paper and tissues and trash bags and candles and plugins and hairspray and lotions and almost every product that we put on our skin and every product that we spray in the air. So it is really like you could potentially be using 12 of those a day in your home. And what really matters is the combination of all of those chemicals together when they're compounded. So I'd say if there's one thing you could avoid in the next year, just really make fragrance a goal to eradicate from your home if possible.
Yeah, my mom, she's no longer with us, but when she would smell something, or when she would be walking behind someone, like you mentioned, she would immediately get a headache. If I came home and had any scent, she would immediately feel it. And she would, if we were out at dinner, she would have to move tables. If we were in a movie theater, we would have to move. And I felt embarrassed, and I don't anymore. I understand how deep this can go, but I know that she also felt shame for having to move and getting headaches and having to go home and take a nap and the immediate migraine that you can get. What is something that you talk to parents about when maybe they come to you with shame or frustration? What are some things that you say to make them feel that it's okay, and that when they need to move or take action that makes them feel comfortable, that it's okay to do that?
Wow. I mean, I do hear that a lot. I haven't heard so much of the shame part, but it's almost like people see it as an inconvenience, and that they don't maybe feel as powerful as people who don't have those symptoms. And I just feel really strongly that the people who are more sensitive to those things like fragrance, or there could be a lot of other examples, actually have a gift, because their body knows how to speak to them and say, this is not healthy for you. So they are going to almost be forced or highly encouraged to make a safer choice, which would have been safer for everyone. So everyone should be that lucky. In fact, if everybody had those symptoms, we would not have such a dangerous marketplace right now. Because right now it's dangerous for everybody, but only a few bodies are giving people the symptoms that make them take a different path. So I think that can be empowering to say, like, my body knows how to speak to me, and other people's bodies might be quiet about it.
Yeah. I now know, and even as I age, I can start to smell things, and I'm starting to react to things, and I'm starting to take steps, and looking back and thinking, oh, I'm so sorry I gave my mom so much trouble for just wanting to get out of the room. But it is
Yeah,
so
I
important.
noticed that after I got pregnant, I started having like this really amazing sense of smell, and then it never went away. And so that it's bothered me a lot more since I have been a mom with the whole fragrance thing.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of step into the Mob Nation and talk about some things that you're doing for moms. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Mob Nation?
Yeah, sure. So this is a group that was originally formed in 2012, but just 3 years ago, the second level of the mob, which is called the Mob Alliance, was formed. So the larger group that was formed in 2012 is a primarily a free Facebook group with a ton of support, and people could just look up the mob mom-owned businesses on Facebook. And that large group has expanded now to be nationwide, and there's over 9,000 women who both own businesses and are moms. And it is a group that really puts collaboration and cooperation over competition. And it's sort of it is a networking group, but it goes way beyond networking, to support the whole person. So we always say, come as you are. You don't have to show up in a power suit. You just have to be you. And part of you is being a mom and a wife and a person who loves lacrosse or whatever. And so we really focus on building genuine relationships and not just having our sales hat all the time on. And so this group is just a massive support. And it's probably over half of my customer base is people from the mob. And so the Alliance group is a smaller, more intimate group. It's about 450, I think, now. And that is a paid membership group for people who really want to take it to the next level and grow their businesses. And there's a lot of benefits in there, like directories and discounts and a ton of free education. And then all the meetups are free. So now there are 16, I think, chapters nationwide, mostly on the West Coast so far, but we're growing really fast. And each chapter has a monthly meetup in person, which is free for Alliance members and $10 for people in the larger group. And everybody who is a mom who owns a business is welcome to come to those. I just ran one last night that was super fun up in Battleground. And we usually have speakers and spotlight businesses and a lot of time to connect. So yeah, it's amazing.
How do you do it all? We like we said in your bio, you're the mom, you run the mob group, you work so tirelessly to make your home non-toxic. How do you do it? What are you doing?
I don't know. um, I have a business coach, and she has been a great support for me as far as really focusing on my priorities, but specifically with business. I'm learning to time block with my, I finally am moving towards Google Calendar so I can get things digitally and hopefully never leave my paper calendar anywhere. I thankfully work my school job 2 days a week, so that gives me the other 3 work days to focus on my business and the mob. And it's a constant struggle, like a happy challenge. I love being busy and I love being challenged, so it's just part of my everyday.
When I met you, I met Krissie maybe 5 months ago.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And you just had such amazing energy, and you were such a sweet, kind person. And I knew
Thank
that
you.
once I started Insight into Wellness, you were on my mind for a long time.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I want to thank you so much for joining. And how can we connect with you? How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah. So I think the easiest way is probably to be in my Facebook group, which is kind of where all the action happens. I share a lot of free resources and even highlight some other businesses that I think are doing amazing things. We have a lot of discussions around health, but even more in a broad sort of way. Like we even talk about parenting and outdoor living. So it's a pretty broad health group, and that is Non-Toxic Mamas VIP Club on Facebook. And then I have a website that highlights all my different services. So I do free spa hours for people just who kind of want to get a first easy touch on non-toxic products. And I walk them through the steps of an organic facial, which is really fun. And that's just something, those are just home visits that I do for free. It takes about an hour. So they could reach out to me on my website to pursue that. And then I do detox coaching, which is where I give you the tools to vet your own products and figure out what your body burden currently is. Like there's an actual way to figure that out with numbers, as far as your personal care products, not as far as everything. But so I coach people on how to do that. And that service is on my website as well. And then for people who just feel overwhelmed and they aren't ready to take that on as, you know, something that they're going to do, and they would rather just pay somebody to do that service for them, I do a full home detox service as well. So I come to your home and vet your products for you and print out a report of your body burden and then allow you to make the decisions that fit your budget, no matter what brand you're going to choose. So
that is amazing. Wow. And just to let everyone know, I will definitely be linking on my website to all of the things that Krissie has just talked about and offered. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
And you can re-listen to what you just heard and more at greentreeayurveda.com//insight into wellness. And if you have a topic that you would like to hear more about, if you're interested in anything, please let me know. If you are a holistic health leader in your community and you would like to be featured, please let me know. And you can email me at hello@greentreeayurveda.com. And thank you for listening to Insight into Wellness. I will see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Bye.